Phone says it's time to start. It's time to start. So I woke up in a really good mood today. Um, I pulled a bunch of cards last night before I went to bed, and I was writing them down in my journal slash the Twin Flame book. Yeah, one of six now. Um, one of the cards that I pulled was the Dream Thief, and it was talking about how you can't keep telling the old stories. It's time to move on, because if you keep telling the old stories, you're acting as though you don't have any new stories to tell. I was thinking, it's like, that's really accurate for my life. And I keep having this tendency to go back to the old stuff, even though, like, I know everything has completely changed in the past year. So, I gotta quit doing it. So this morning, I woke up, and after writing the card meanings information down, I got up in a good mood and just started writing. And I figured I would just share a little bit of that today for what I have so far written today. 9:22, and I'm just going to throw this in here for the hell of it. Taz stepped on it and got it all muddy. So, yeah. It has existed since then. So when one of these days something comes up and somebody says, yeah, she faked that. Nope, dog stepped on it right there. So I'm just going to read what I wrote, because, yeah, I think that's just the easiest way, because otherwise I'm not always coherent anyway. So, yeah. Okay, says, I know what I need to do, especially with that card yesterday talking about the Dream Thief, and don't keep telling old stories like I don't have any new ones to tell, and like I'm not already an entirely different person from where I was back then. A lot has happened in the past year. I don't know if it was a year ago today, but somewhere around a year ago this week was when I first watched the movie Love Again and put out the intention to the universe that maybe I was ready to be ready to be ready, like Abraham Hicks said in the videos that I was watching back then all the time. It says, if you're at least ready to be ready to be ready, the universe will line you up with the lessons you need to get you there. So these are the stories that I'm meant to be telling. These are the stories that will bring you to me. These are the stories that will awaken you to our connection. I said last winter that I wanted you to know who I am, and more importantly, who I am to you, so I don't have to ever worry about the unhealed, damaged little girls throwing themselves at you. I know, being as incredibly beautiful as you are, there's been a lot of soul lessons and karma wrapped up in that. I came across your website back in the early days of this journey, the stage of awareness of it, and remember thinking you sound like someone incredibly intelligent, and I had this overwhelming urge to reach out to you, but was like, why would I do that? He's a music producer and I don't make music. What would I have to talk to him about? So I guess in that way, really, you're the first person I felt a really strong pull to, that I was able to be rational about not doing a thing I wanted to do. Although I'm not sure that's accurate. However, it was something that showed me my resistance. I feel like it's more on track with Tyler, except that I had Tyler on a pedestal, and that's what prevented me from allowing us to be better friends. But I feel like my sense of resisting the urge to connect to you was more logical, because why would I be emailing a music producer when I don't make music? I don't know. Well, that's irrelevant, but I just, for some reason, I struggle with spelling pedestal every time I write it, and acknowledged it. Anyway, I know these stories of us, as experienced in my solo endeavor so far, are what I'm meant to be sharing. I believe they are how you find me, and it doesn't matter if I have 12 subscribers or 12,000. When the universe deems it to be the right time, it will find a way to land my face in front of you, and it will put in you the urge to click on my video and hear me using whatever jumbled or glorious words I can come up with, talking about us despite not having even met yet, and it'll ignite something of a remembrance in you too. I think it'll bring your heart back into clarity, because there I'll be. I know my heart has always felt like it was forever far away and I could never access it. It was preserved for you because you are my heart. But for it to awaken in me, I had to collide with your energy in the physical world to some degree. Obviously, it was first on social media. Misty said it would be back in 2020 or whenever. She said there would be some kind of contact on social media. Then I happened into a couple of your live streams, and then you started showing up in my dreams or thoughts otherwise, and then my whole fucking life changed. This is what I'm meant to be talking about. This because it's opening me up to other concepts that are esoteric or whatever. I came here to understand. In my humanness, I've gotten too wrapped up in logics and rationality because it was part of what I came here to learn. I think it's the same for you. You've probably been every bit as stuck in your head as I've tended to be, and thus here we are in our somehow comparable journeys that we won't even fully understand until we meet, but we are getting there. And I have this little of writing this. Just now revisiting the words on the inside cover of this book. Amazing things are stirring to life. So this book, which is number 6, that I started. Well, this one I started September 11th, but it is the 6th. So I've been writing a bunch. And I try to keep the thick ones for this purpose, just because I know I'm going to write a lot. So this particular notebook, I got 2, and the other one I used as the 5th one. And this one was going to be specifically my book start. And so I put this little message on the inside cover to myself to kind of set the intention for what the book's supposed to be, right? Yeah, I'm just going to read that too. It says, may the words written here be guided and led by love every step of the way. May they be spoken here with the truths of universal love, directing me, guiding me, loving me every single step of the journey. Help me to convey the story with the depths of love demonstrated to open blinded eyes of the world around me now and forevermore. May love never fade away as true love never could. Yeah. So... that said, my sidekick is going to start talking to me as well. I feel like I've been kind of dragging my feet on getting to the point of this whole thing, which is just sharing my particular side of this journey solo thus far. Quit it. So, and because I've been realizing that it's something that this is literally my entire lifetime. I get talking a lot of times about how I was 4 when I felt like this idea was kind of presented to me. So you can see, see this charming little devil that keeps yelling at me. Yeah. Anyway, so I was 4 when I knew that this particular love story path thing was like my journey and like the purpose of my lifetime. 4. And I've been making connections with like different songs that have always been really important, and then like something will happen to shift me to certain realizations on this journey, and then I'm seeing the song in a whole new light. When I was thinking of, okay, start way back when I was like 4, and there's a song somewhere out there, and I saw it in a movie. It was An American Tail, the Fievel movies. And I just remember completely being struck by the song and the idea in the song, and feeling like that was what I wanted. It's like this amazing story that, we live our lives and do our separate thing, and then one day find our way into each other's lives, right? So that was the starting point. Well, I mean, the starting point of my awareness of it. So I was 4. So you know, and there have been all sorts of songs that I have been, you know, just completely, I get hung up on, and it does not matter how many hundreds of times that I listen to them, you know, years down the line from where I first heard them, it's still every bit as much to stop me in my tracks and make me go weird as the day that I first heard it. That song is a big one. You know, and then one that I always loved was the song Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by Starship. And always loved the song. Back in the spring when I was kind of trying to navigate through some things for myself and bring the masculine and feminine aspects of myself into balance within. It's like once I got to a point where I felt like I was getting there and pretty balanced, then I started hearing the song all the time again. And, you know, of course, then, you know, after it makes an appearance several times, I add it to some of my playlists, so I have to listen to it more. The other day in the car, I was with my mom, my aunt, and my grandma, and we were on our way to go visit my grandfather in the rehab facility. And we're driving down the road, and I went from the 80s station to the blend on XM so I can keep it friendly for everybody in the car. And one of the first songs that came on after I put this channel on was, of course, that song, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. So it's kind of like the universe just kind of dropping me these little clues along the way, and then like bringing it back once I hit points where it gets really important and I really understand that it's a lot more to me than I was even originally thinking it was. You know, because before I listen to songs and I can listen to the same song over and over again and not get sick of it. I mean, I can do this for days, weeks. I've always been this way, you know. And now I'm realizing that there was always this part of me that's kind of known that this particular twin flame journey side of my story was strongly wrapped up in music. And it's like there's always, you know, it's like I was listening for something that I didn't even realize I was listening for at the time. And I think it's just that little energetic click where it just finally makes sense. We're like, okay, currently, well, another one. I've been thinking about this one a lot recently because 2013 was when I got my brain injury. And I was married. And those two pieces of information aren't, I mean, they're relevant, they're and related, but it wasn't his fault or anything. He wasn't even home. So I fell at home on the stairs. But I remember it was on my birthday, or right around my birthday, I went over to my parents' house and was painting my bathroom, my old bathroom, because I wasn't living there. And I was home alone. I don't remember where my parents were. I think my mom might have had knee surgery or something, and I was going to be staying with the dogs. But yeah, as far as I know, I was home alone. And so when I'm singing to like my playlist at the top of my lungs, and then, you know, I turn around and my ex is standing there while I'm standing outside of the tub, It did not go well. And I don't remember what happened exactly, but it it ended up with me throwing water at him and then crying about it later because like I didn't remember exactly, like it's like it was just a trigger and just like an automatic response. There was a glass of water next to me and I picked it up and threw it at him. And I mean just the water, not the whole glass or whatever, the cup, whatever. But it was a thing because I cried because I literally, it was just like an immediate reaction and I felt like I had no control over what I was doing. It's like, who am I now that I don't even have control over what the hell I'm doing? It's fabulous. But, I mean, that's kind of not really necessary to the story, I guess. But, it ended up with a conversation about his aunt won tickets for a concert. And I think it was sometime around my birthday. I don't remember if that's when we went to the concert or if that was when we found out about the concert. But she thought that it sounded like music that I would listen to, and she offered us the tickets. So the concert was Matchbox 20 and the Goo Goo Dolls. And I had to go back on my phone. It's like trying to figure out the time frame for when this was. It was 2013. It was shortly after my head injury. And now that I, looked it up, it's like, oh yeah, that's why all that's connected and like all those details were relevant. It was just little points of reference, I guess. Yeah, but we ended up going to this concert. I mean, it wasn't like, I think it was like the next week or something, I don't know. But I remember listening to the Goo Goo Dolls and thinking, I really like their music, and I know I would have liked their music, but why did I never listen to it earlier in life? Like, I listened to Matchbox 20, like, way back when. Think, was it 96 that the one album came out? I don't remember. But, like, I was all into their music, so of course, I found out we got free tickets. I was all excited. And there was a song. This is the point of this whole tangent. The song that, I just absolutely fell in love with was a song, Come to Me. And it's funny because, I was married and the entire, my love for this song, it's like it had nothing to do with this dude I happened to be married to at the time. It's like there's something beyond this, and because that goes back to that point where I always knew that divorce had to be on my path for some reason. I mean, the reason was basically because my family was so opposed to it, and it's just culturally it's pretty frowned upon. And I think my point was to live this experience to figure out how somebody gets in such a situation where they would want to leave it that way. And then navigating the aftermath and working through those details. But this song, I love this song and this whole twin flame journey. I actually, was looking at the lyrics a little bit ago. It's like, oh God, they're even more relevant than I would have. I mean, when I first fell in love with the song and was married to somebody else, that wasn't really what I was focusing on, I guess. I don't remember the... Yeah. Something about burning pictures from the past, like that could save, or no, burning old photographs, like that could save you from the past. History is like gravity, it holds you down away from me. It's like, that's basically the point of this whole thing, right? Is moving beyond the stuff that's kept me stuck and away from where I'm supposed to be, and the life that I want to live. And here's my little friend. Thank you. Yeah. But, you know, now that I'm seeing how everything's connected, and now that I'm seeing how all these stories from past beliefs and, you know, where all that got me has kept me from where I've ultimately wanted to be. It's crazy. And here's my other friend. He might just show me his butt. I don't. Yeah, it's a trip. But the whole twin flame path in and of itself is the whole reason any of this stuff has been triggered for me to make changes, and to do the healing work that I needed to do to get where I need to go, even though I'm not there yet. Yeah, it's another thing. I feel like I've always known that a big part of this love story has been me writing. And, you know, I used to think about how it, like, okay, I don't know, just navigating the whole journey. There was 2222 on the timer. Yeah. They were just navigating the whole journey. How it would be kind of fun to have this thing that I've been like writing through this whole process, right? And the whole meeting and all that stuff, which obviously I haven't gotten to yet, but I'm 6 books in, so we're moving right along on something. You know, but I've had several starts where, like I would start using journals to tell the stories and work in this direction, and it's like I'd give up on it because it's like, I don't know who he is, so I don't know. I feel like, am I just throwing random shit out there until something works? And, you know, every time, you know, like when I ended up with my ex, it's like, he's definitely not it. And then I get frustrated and just like tear out the pages in the journal, and it's like, well, to the starting board again, or yeah, to the drawing board again. And I think the big thing was just the point that it is sometime this week, to my knowledge, is when I watched that movie last year that got this whole thing started. With maybe I'm ready to be thinking about relationships and all that stuff again. It's like, but I don't want to do it my way. My way's been really hard and not fun and has been extremely painful, right? So just turning it over to the universe to run the show, and well, it's definitely changed everything. And the whole point where if you're ready to be ready, the universe will line you up is absolutely completely true, because I was not ready, but I wanted to be ready anyway. And, or at least I was warming up to the idea of the possibility. So it's like as soon as I put that idea out there, and then stuff started coming together, and then I was like, oh shit, I don't, what have I gotten myself into? Yeah. So, I've said before, like when I was brought to the awareness of who this person is, my immediate response was, yeah, right. Because I didn't believe it. Because, as far as I was concerned, like we weren't even in the same, league. Quit. I know. I saw him. There's a car. Yeah, like that was like I just thought so poorly of myself back then. And obviously he had to be visible enough that I could find him, and then the universe could kind of smack me over the head with it. And then when that came up, and the immediate yeah right response to this is him, this is the one you've been looking for, it was like, do you want to do this? You said you wanted us to do it, but do you really want to take it over and do it your way again? Because that's worked so well before. It's like, no, I don't. And yeah, so I mean, obviously, since I'm already throwing the love life thing out there for the universe to navigate me through, might as well just throw in career. And oh wait, the two are connected, like they always kind of thought they were, and yet somehow I would still disconnect from that point. Like I know I'm supposed to be writing, and currently it looks like rough draft form in these books to this elusive twin flame that has yet to show up actually in my life, but that I know he's at least out there, so that's kind of a big deal. Yeah. Just trying to think more on that point. And like a big thing on the writing is like I've always known that I'm supposed to be writing, and I was pretty sure it was something on this end, the whole love stuff. Okay, before, well, okay, I had the one guy that I dated in high school, early undergrad, for like 4 years. It's like I knew he wasn't what I was looking for, but at the same time, it somehow seemed safer to stay in that situation rather than to get caught up with a bunch of people that weren't right. So after undergrad, the next serious relationship I had, I didn't immediately really think he was the one or anything. Like, I shifted into that kind of mindset because I needed certain lessons that only came because I believed that he was going to be more to me than he actually was meant to be. And, before him, there was this brief it wasn't really anything. Like, we went out a few times, and he came over and hung out at the place I was staying a few times. But, I remember this guy that, we were talking, whatever, it wasn't anything. But I remember that we were in this, I was staying at one of the old founding family mansions for the Ball State that I was at. And one of the properties that, had belonged to the founding families, one of them, I don't know. I don't know all those details, obviously. But they donated the house to the American Baptist Association, and I got linked up with some people and ended up staying at this place. Well, this dude ended up, he was the house pastor's son, and it was one of those things where, like, when he showed up, and he was obviously looking at me in some kind of way, and I immediately was like, yeah, right. No way. But not because he was out of my league, more like, dude, you can't handle me kind of a thing. And it ended up being exactly that. The reason I bring that whole spiel up was just because there was one day, like, he gave me a hug, and, like, we're in this, it was a big room with a projector screen. We used to, like, play Tetris and stuff on the Super Nintendo, on the big screen. But he gives me a hug one day, and I'm standing there, and I'm thinking, it's like, this is okay, but if this is not where I'm supposed to be, then take it away. I don't want it, But also, that whole point of somehow knowing that I was supposed to be writing and committing that path over to God to lead. It's the same thing, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. Back then, I would only call it God because, well, I was going to church and all that fun stuff. Now I have a more expansive view of things, and I feel like when I say God, it makes me think the way that I was raised to believe, and I've kind of expanded a lot beyond that now. It's like all that is. So, yeah, but point being, that these things that I knew, especially the writing thing, was, if that's what I'm meant to be doing, I commit to doing it. But then I could never do it. And now it's like this, I can't not write about what's going on and the connections that I'm, like, putting together, because it's so expansive and there's so much to it, and it's just kind of like, what is life? What is any of this? It's just, I had one morning back in June, I was getting ready to go over to my brother's house to sit with my niece for a little while he took his wife to work. And when I was getting ready to go over there, I think I was making something for breakfast, and I was listening to my sappy music playlist, and the song Take My Breath Away comes on, and I was having this moment where, before that, I had recently had this vision. I don't even know what to call it. Like this moment where I don't remember how they all fit together. Okay. I have talked about this before in other videos too. So there was like this vision or this dream that I was able to keep going back into. And, at one point, starting out, the twin and some of his friends were sitting on these stools behind this couch that I was sitting on with my ex, and they were kind of like looking off into, like, it looked like there was like a TV screen or something in front of us. They were talking really low, like it was at a funeral or something. And this was the actual dream that I had back in 2020 or 2021, somewhere around that time frame. And I remember I was just so mad at my ex and so confused at why these guys were there. Because I'd started listening to their music very recently at that point, just like, what? And I started, okay, kind of, I look at the picture and kind of just disappear. So, I was able to start going back into this dream. And one of the first times I was able to do this, it's like, okay, the first time I don't think he was even aware that I was there. The second time, he was aware that I was there, more talking to the friends that were also there than me. And I still had like this looming anger toward my ex that was right there. And, he kind of, it was like softly talking to me. Yuck. Puppy kisses. So he was talking to me, and it's like he couldn't look at me or anything. Like, he was aware that I was there, but not entirely aware that I was there. And it was kind of this idea of, let me know if you need help, kind of a thing. And I remember thinking, no, this is something I need to do on my own. I now realize that was finishing that anger and closing that chapter of that whole journey, because it was around the time I was really processing that real world situation. Early videos on here. Yeah. So then, like, another time I went back into it, it was like this, it was kind of like through a fog, and like we were kind of able to see each other, but not really able to focus on each other. And yeah, it was very dreamy. And then another time, like, I was able to go into a different part of the dream and like have a whole interaction with somebody else that was able to look at me and like was somehow aware of who I was and why I was there and wanted to confess something to me. And then, that was a whole thing. But the last time, well, I don't know if it's the last time really that I've been into it, but it's like the last time something really big happened. It was like like he was full on focused on me, and there was like just this rush of energy, and like it was like being seen all the way through for all that I am, kind of a thing. Just like, oh, hey, just suddenly here I am, and it was shortly after that experience, and I had like this, I was kind of walking around for a couple days kind of thinking, God is love, love is God, love is all there is. And it's just like repeating that over and over again. And then this day that I started talking about, back in June, the song Take My Breath Away comes on, and it's just like, I just got hit with this like overwhelming sense of, so basically like this whole existence is just being romanced by the universe, basically. Like, yeah. Is I don't even know how to talk about that one anymore, but it was just like the idea of like everything that's happened to get me to where I am now, and to be able to lead me to finding this balance of these two energies within myself, has basically been just being romanced by the entire universe. And all the songs that have played into it, like, here's a big one. When I was 8 and the bullying started, this is back in 1991, there was a song that came out that I always fell in love with it. I don't know when the first time I heard it was, but I always loved the song. And there's a line, okay, it's Mr. Big, To Be With You. there's a line in it that says, "Wake up, who cares about little boys that talk too much?" And it's like that was always speaking to me, but I didn't realize until this past year that song came out at the same time the bullying started to begin with. It's like, oh, so it's everything is connected. And I kind of love it. This was actually when I did my very brief live stream on Instagram to break the ice on using my voice, and cried immediately afterwards. This was kind of the idea of what I was trying to convey. It was just, there's so much going on, and I had no idea how to work on addressing any of it. And that goes back to like this whole twin flame thing. The whole reason that I ever even started this channel to begin with was because he had to be visible enough that I could find him, but how was he going to find me? And I mentioned that several times on here, but that was like the big point was, who am I? How is he going to find me? How is any of that going to come together? So I started this, I think, November 11th last year. I say that at 41:11 on the timer. Of course, relevant for those repeating numbers and alignment things. And so it was 11:11. It's like, hey, that seems like a pretty important day. And I feel like I'm slouching on my way down this tree. Yeah. But the first one I did was very scripted. I was at the cemetery sitting next to Tyler's gravestone, and I've since deleted it. And when I put back the videos I had originally done, because there were it was less than 10 that I did back in the fall, I think. But they were I was starting to get the hang of it. But then I had this big time frame where I just had to regroup over the fact that it's I expanded way beyond what I thought was possible for me. And then I had to take time to regroup and I let my view of myself catch up with the rest of me. And what I suddenly was aware of being possible for me, give that more space to become a thing. Yeah. There's a squirrel up there somewhere. Yep. So yeah, that was the big thing. Today, the point is, this is what I'm supposed to be focusing on. Not the other. I mean, obviously the other stuff, it's kind of fun to weave in and realize how it all fit together. And I think that's a big part of it. But I think the big focus is just this whole, the more focus on the twin flame side of it. And I mean, that's the whole reason I am where I am at this point in time. And the fact that I'm at roughly a year where I put out this intention to the universe to get me ready for everything to fall into place, seemed like a big deal. Yeah. And I don't know if I acknowledged the fact on here that back in August was when I hit the year anniversary of the nose rings and the lip ring, which I set with the intention of never again working another job that asked me to be anything less than 100% who I am. And I still haven't completely gotten to the point where it's a lucrative career or anything. But I feel like the pieces are still working on coming together, and this is just another part of that. So yeah. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else that I want to include at this point. I think 44 minutes is probably long enough. So I'll just call it there. Yeah. Anyway, this is the new direction that I know I'm supposed to be going and focusing on more. So this is what I will do more of. And there was at 4:29 on the timer, which is actually, of course, that's Tyler's birthday. At 4:29, just it just showed up on the clock before I started, well, a little bit before I started recording, because then I always get jumbled when it's time to actually start, and then it's like, I am pissing the squirrel off again, dudes. I think he just figured out that I'm over here. Let me see if I can get him. Yeah, he's not happy with me, but who cares? Yeah, that tailfold. I think that's probably the one I pissed off that was throwing shit at me in, like, the one video in June when I started talking about healing chaos. Which, that card is still relevant and keeps coming up. You know, and of course the big point is, you know, there's that air of chaos in your life right now that's meant to shake things up and bring about some aspect of healing that you haven't gotten to yet. So that's the point. This little squirrel's now just staring at me. So my hero over there is just laying in the dirt, not doing anything about it. Tezzy! Hi, buddy. Hi. Anyway, we're gonna call it there for real. As always, I appreciate you, and until the next time, see you later.